Hi everyone, thanks to Liz for inviting me to be part of this project. It's for a great cause, and these Fürstenau studies are really fun, and this is number 11, and there's a couple of things I want to talk about before I play. The first is at the beginning, and this introduction is fortissimo and quite high-pitched and very strong and fanfare-like. So there's a real risk of it getting a bit unruly in terms of pitch and also being too shrill. So especially at the beginning, but throughout your whole flute playing lives and throughout this study, but at the beginning of here, be as relaxed as you possibly can and think downwards when the pitch gets high. What I mean by that is all of the things that your body does to play low, like relaxing and opening and blowing freely, I think apply just as much in the high register, but we often get too tense. So be wary of that, and also be willing to use fingerings that help the cause here. So for the high F, I'm using a forked fingering, and also for the E, I'm taking my little finger off. So all of these things combined will just guard against it being too shrill in the top. It's more in tune, it's more pleasant to listen to. I wasn't pushing it as hard, quite to fortissimo there, but you see what I mean. The second thing, again, really important across all flute playing for the most part, but in this passage here in particular, it's easy for the air to stop or to be stopping in between notes for some of this staccato stuff. I would vote instead to keep the air going very fluidly and just articulate with the tongue and keep the air alive rather than falling into a trap of articulating with your whole apparatus every note. I exaggerate, but it sounds like hard work, and it is hard work. So I would keep everything moving as fluidly as you can through these passages. Because we're still forte. Okay, it's light, but it's forte, so I think we need air. Immediately after this, we have pianissimo and a little higher in pitch. So it's really easy for these triplets to have their emphasis on the wrong note. Which I don't think is the point here. This applies earlier when they're lower, but especially here, aim for the lower note instead. It just sounds a lot more graceful and elegant that way, and I think that's what was intended. I personally, the crescendo that follows this section, with forte by this point in the music, I stretch this until the end of the next bar. It's an ascending chromatic sequence, and I feel like I like to leave somewhere to go. So that's where I would be forte, personally. The next thing is all this leaping in the middle section is very tiring, and it's difficult to be precise and consistent here. And I think that it pays to focus on a small chunk and use what you learn there in the rest of it, rather than just playing the whole section all the time. And the bar in here, which for me helps the most with the whole concept of these articulated leaps, is a bar that goes like this. I found that if I really worked hard on that bar, the rest kind of fell into place because it's using the same skills. So for this, I would definitely practice it a few different ways. One, all down the octave. One up the octave. getting used to how those feel, and then I would chop and change that as much as you can. Etc. And it's not just a matter of playing it like that, but when you do, really try to experience like how it feels to play in those different registers and what your lips are doing. Try to minimize it, not eliminate it. We have to do something, but it's easy to overcook all of the embouchure gymnastics that go on here. So all that is to say, try not to do too much here. It's a precise control thing rather than an agility thing. I wager if you can do that, no, it wasn't perfect, but if you can do that bar really well, then the rest of this middle section at least will fall into place. And lastly, the scale right at the end. Don't see this as just a flurry of chromatic notes. I do this all the time. It's easy when you see all that ink to panic, and when you do, your fingers will not obey you in the way you need them to. Instead, I would consider thinking of this in rhythm. He starts out beaming this chromatic scale in 3s and then in 4s. So I would think that. I still lost it a little at the end and just had to go with it, but it keeps things in check a lot easier that way, for me anyway, so it's worth a try. Okay, I'll play it.